Okay, casual, quick video today for some casual products. So today we're going to be going over some wireless IEM Bluetooth adapters. And specifically, I'm going to be focusing on this new product from iFi called the GoPod, which is a seemingly high-end oriented wireless adapter for your IEMs. And we're going to be comparing it to the popular, at this point, I guess, kind of a classic, the FiiO UTWS5 adapter. Now, UTWS5 came out about a year ago. iFi's GoPod is pretty much just coming out now. With the FiiO UTWS5, it goes for just about $140, and then the GoPod goes for $400. So $140, $400. And why is that? Why is the GoPod like 2.5 times more expensive than the UTWS5? I'm not gonna lie, when I first started this review, I was pretty skeptical of the GoPod for that reason alone. I just, couldn't really imagine how much more it could have to offer than the UTWS5, but I would say that by the time I was done reviewing it and sitting down to make this video, I have a pretty good idea of what's going on here with the GoPod, but let's get into it. So both of them come with pretty much the same stuff. You get a charging case with both of them, and you also get a charging USB to USB-C cable with both of them. As well as the usual boring but necessary paperwork. Like start guides, quick start guides, all of that. So just based on physical design, there's something that I like about the FiiO here more than the iFi, which is just that the FiiO is genuinely pocket-sized. It's kind of on the border of not being pocket-sized because it's like kind of thick, but you can work it in there, still works. This, the iFi, the GoPods, this case really is not that pocket-sized. And if you do squeeze it into your pocket, you look like an enormous nerd with bulging pockets. I guess you could do it, but really the FiiO one is a little more suited for that. Okay, and let's take a look at the adapters themselves. This is why it's $400, because it has these lights. Yeah. Okay, anyway, so looking at the actual adapters, the GoPods are a little chunkier than the FiiO. I guess. Are they really? Yeah, by a little bit. You can see there. The GoPods are a bit longer, but they're not that much bigger, actually. The FiiO seems to have a longer stem, maybe. The GoPod stem kind of like curves in on itself a little more. But not like a huge difference emerging yet between these two. So let's go back to the question. What makes the GoPod $400 and the UTWS5 $140? Well, let me use an example to demonstrate that. Let's say you have two pairs of IEMs, and one of them is MMCX and one of them is 2-pin XLR. If you are using a FiiO adapter, you would need to buy two FiiO adapters, two UTWS5s, one with an MMCX connection and one with a 2-pin XLR connection. And if you were to buy two of these, that would cost you $280. And then for the iFi GoPods, these things right here are actually interchangeable. Yeah, they're kind of, there you go. So you can see here comes with both types. You got yourself MMCX and you got your little 2-pin. So if you have an IEM collection with multiple connection types, the iFi GoPod is going to service all of them. You don't need two units. So that right there, relative to the UTWS5 accounts for about like $280 of the GoPod to be realistic, just in the sense that it does the same thing that you would need two units of the UTWS5 to do. And that's offering both a 2-pin as well as an MMCX connection. Actually, let me leave these out so you guys can gawk at them. Okay, so for the dual compatibility with MMCX and 2-pin, we're clocking in the iFi at a $280 value so far. So how do we account for the rest of its value? Is it in maybe the wireless signal strength is stronger in the iFi? And actually, I was surprised to find that that's not the case. I did the same exact test for both of these, and honestly, my results were not just, similar, but actually like identical. The same corners that I turned were giving me the same cutouts. I was able to walk a really long distance in my office as long as it was in a straight line with both of them. That was like 60 feet, so that's a pretty impressive connection. That's generally better than what I get with just regular wireless buds, actually, to be honest, depending on the bud. It was really only when I was turning corners going into other rooms at a long distance that I was able to force a dropout out of these. When I was actually going into another room that was maybe, let's say, 20 feet away from where my connection was, which you can see here. That didn't give me any cutout. My signal was just fine. So that's not to say that there is anything at all wrong with the iFi Go Pod. In fact, quite the opposite. I'm really just saying that both of these have really excellent signal strength and connection. So similar connection strength with, super solid connection strength for both of them. So again, why is the Go Pod that much more expensive than the UTWS5? And the answer is honestly in the sound specs and the sound quality, which I think is the best part of the answer to be able to give. So iFi Go Pod, you get LDAC, lossless, 24-bit, 96 kilohertz sample rate. UTWS5, you get, aptX adaptive, but that's not going to give you the high-res lossless Bluetooth that the Go Pod is giving you. So that alone, on just that objective basis, the Go Pod is able to give you higher fidelity sound. And maybe you're saying, well, I don't really believe in that sample rate and bit depth, whatever. Like I mostly just listen to Spotify anyway, to which, I understand, I respect that. But even when I wasn't listening to lossless music files, the Go Pod still sounded noticeably, I might say significantly better than the UTWS5. So UTWS5, it's good, don't get me wrong. I still think that, if you're plugging the UTWS5 into a nice pair of IEMs. These are mine, the Audio Oracle MK2. If you plug it into that, this is probably going to give you better quality, better sound quality than any wireless bud that you can get on your own. But that being said, it still has a certain wireless effect on the sound. Kind of flattens it out a little bit, compresses it a little bit. It's a little duller overall. Soundstage is a little more narrow. Just overall, things that you would kind of expect from wireless audio, kind of the typical issues with wireless audio that are present, lightly present, but still there. With the Go Pod, on the other hand, I really can't say that it has any of those classic wireless problems. Soundstage was really, really awesome. I was even using them with the Ronin from Noble Audio. This has one of the craziest sound stages that I've heard in like any IEM. And it was able to keep up with it. I still really, really enjoyed the staging on the Ronin. When I was listening with the Go Pod, it really was not at all as expansive or exciting or realistic or anything like that with the UTWS5. Go Pod really did it justice though. And then I was listening to my IEMs just because I'm the most familiar with them, so I can pick up on changes in the balance or soundstage a little more easily. I would say soundstage really is the thing that the Go Pod does best. I think it really genuinely rivals the Soundstage that you get when you go wired with your IEMs. But actually, one thing that I noticed when I was listening with my IEMs, where I'm a little more sensitive to the balance, was there's a little bit of a brightening effect on the GoPod. I like upper treble, maybe mid treble, but seems like mostly upper treble just gets a little tiny bit of a boost. I started by listening to Fleet Foxes, and I didn't hear the brightness in like Robert Pecknold's voice, but I heard it on the strummed acoustic guitars, which just sounded a little more washboard-like, if you know what I mean. Maybe a little scratchier. I don't mean scratchy as a bad thing. It's just the only word I can think of for that kind of like percussive brightness that you hear on acoustic guitars. That was kind of brought out of it. I don't want to overemphasize the whole brightness thing with the GoPod. It's a subtle quality. I think a lot of people are likely going to notice it, but it's not super dramatic. And also, I think it affects really like very, very high frequencies, because it wasn't like harmonics were becoming any more grating or any more painful. It's not like a peakiness or anything like that. Like I said, it's more of that high treble texture stuff, like female singers with vocal rasp. You hear a little more of the rasp. Acoustic guitars being strummed, you hear a little bit of that like scratchy washboard quality. It really doesn't have that typical wireless affect on the sound, whereas UTWS5 does have a little bit of that. Not a lot of it. I still think that for the price, UTWS5 is a really good choice. I also think it's a case where, like, if you're a Moondrop Blessing 2 or 3 or whatever owner, you own some $200, $300 IEMs, it might be a little silly to get a wireless adapter that's more expensive than your IEMs. Maybe you should use that money to buy yourself some really nice IEMs. But yeah, if you're that intermediate or inexpensive IEM owner, UTWS5, it'll serve you fine. Again, there's a little bit of a hit to sound quality, but I don't think it's a very big deal. I think it's still worth the convenience. I think it's still worth it to be able to use the IEMs that you really, really like, instead of feeling a need maybe to go out and buy wireless buds that are going to be even more expensive than these. And then the iFi GoPod, this is just the premium option. This is if you're the sort of person who has, maybe 4 IEMs, 2 or 3 of them are $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. It's not that ridiculous for you to throw on a $400 accessory on top of your already super high-end IEM. So I would say that the clear benefits of using the GoPod are you're getting the MMCX connection as well as the 2-pin, unlike the FiiO where you're getting one or the other. You're also getting LDAC, and with that 24-bit and 96 kilohertz, sample rates. And then even if you're not, listening to lossless audio, even if you're using Spotify, there's still just better sound quality on the GoPod. And also just want to thank Audio46 for giving me these 2 units to review. You can get 10% off of a wide array of brands and items from Audio46 if you use code Chris10 at checkout. Code might not apply to all brands and all items, but if you're having issues with the code, just shoot Audio46 customer support an email and they should be able to help you out. So anyway, this is Chris with Major Hi-Fi. This is the iFi GoPod. This is the FiiO UTWS5. And anyway, I'll see you next time.